This is your story. It all begins here.
This may be our last chance.
Final Fantasy X, which, if you don't speak Roman, is Final Fantasy X.
There's very few video game franchises that have made it to 10 sequels. I mean, Mario hasn't even done that.
I want to be the ball player in Final Fantasy. That's my fantasy. I want to have blonde hair and rippling muscles.
I mean, it was a huge game, Final Fantasy X, and it encouraged guys like this to, I mean, seriously skip days and days of class.
Because it's massive, it's huge, and it's full of really tiny, meticulous ordinances that if you don't get right, you have to do over again.
Well, the thing about Final Fantasy games is that they make characters so likable and lovable that they become almost like an extended family to you.
It was successful in the fact that it can draw people into this world, and they really had no use for the world that they left behind.
I would say that video games took a tremendous toll on our relationship. It was really hard for my boyfriend to put the video games aside and concentrate on me.
I think the game would get really frustrating if you would finally get so pissed off. You're fighting this giant monster and you want to really tear into him and you want to just kick its ass, and all you can do is press X. Can I say ass?
And also, the thing about Final Fantasy X is that it was one of the first Final Fantasies with voice acting. You hear them actually talking, just like, wow, that's new.
That's correct.
Hey man, there's no way. That's just impossible.
Nothing impossible about it.
This game starts up at the end of the Time of Peace, when Sin's come back, and the High Summoner who had defeated Sin and banished him last time calls upon his daughter Yuna.
Yuna is on a quest to summon this certain Aeon to defeat this huge blimp-like evil called Sin.
So basically she needs bodyguards, and you and your buddy Waka take some time off from your exciting blitzball careers, and you guys are her collective Kevin Costner, if you know what I mean.
If you get tired, let me know. I had a bed made for you.
You know, like, that's not what the game's about. The game is about running around in a field, hitting things with sticks 97 times in a row with the same stick, so you can afford a better stick. That's what role-playing games are about.
The best thing about Final Fantasy X for me is Yuna. In fact, Yuna, if you're watching, or any of you chicks that dress up as Yuna for those conventions, 917.
I think that the Final Fantasy girls are way too hot, and that's 90% of the problem of why my boyfriend couldn't stop playing it. I'm convinced he was in love with them.
You know, what fun would your RPG be if you didn't see a scantily clad woman with bouncing boobs?
I think the planning of Final Fantasy was very ingenious in the fact that it didn't really require that much backtracking.
It gave for a better story experience because then you have constant story going.
You're constantly moving forward with direction, which is something you don't get in a lot of role-playing games.
The thing about making a role-playing game is that you basically have to be slightly more obsessive than the people who play role-playing games, which is really, really, really hard. Because people who play role-playing games for days on end.
You would see students who just built up these characters to the point where, like, the characters were really great and really powerful, but they were just wasted husks of skin.
Final Fantasy fans tend to be a pretty hardcore group. The game inspires a lot of people to come out of the woodwork and sort of dress as the characters.
I mean, for years I used to dress up like a wizard and just go to conventions and, you know, meet 12-year-olds. And, like, this game actually, you know, it brought out a lot of us.
I would say that, you know, your average Final Fantasy player is this super hot guy, really macho.
The thing is that, like, lots of people have absentee dads and like being fawned on by Japanese pop stars. That's a big draw for a lot of, you know, reclusive, maldeveloped young men.
There's also like this weird language in Final Fantasy. You can fight certain monsters which unlocks these certain letters of a foreign language.
Yeah, Albet was the mysterious language in the game, and you had to decipher it letter by letter. I mean, that's never been done in a game before.
It was kind of like German, kind of like this angry language.
I don't recall how to speak the mysterious language. I'm afraid all that I have left over from my time in Final Fantasy X is the language of the Chocobo.
Yes, I do remember the yellow chicken thing in Final Fantasy. I remember this giant chicken that you'd run around on and hit and try and race, and you know, I remember my boyfriend yelling about his winning, so.
Chocobos, the giant chickens that they race. I don't know where they got this idea from.
I can't explain it. It's Japanese. That's all I gotta say about that.
I remember you had to race these yellow bird type things. It was pretty cool.
It's like a side quest to the game. There's all these side quests in Final Fantasy. There's Blitzball, which is like underwater soccer.
Blitzball is the most popular sport. It's the baseball for wherever the hell they live.
I remember Blitzball from Final Fantasy very well because it didn't make any sense because it was underwater, and that's ridiculous.
Blitzball. Blitzball is kind of a combination of NFL Blitz, basketball, and watching paint dry.
Blitzball is interesting because it's like a cross between basketball and water polo.
Oh, the Blitzball's the worst. I was watching someone play Blitzball. That's the dumbest game on the...
Actually, I liked a lot of the Blitzball stuff. I actually played through Blitzball.
There's so much to do in here. There's side quests and scavenger hunts, and you can call monsters out for fights, and people to meet, and people to talk to.
The only thing I've learned from Final Fantasy is that when you think it's over, it's not, because there's 1,000 more things you have to do.
What I took away from this game is that if your giant space monster father wants to blank out all of existence, you don't have to take that sitting down. Just like I did with my old man, you can stand up and hit him in his gigantic eyeball with your magical sword.